Thank you so much for joining me. I have a great topic for you today. It's an interesting topic, and it has to do with self-defense in terms of prohibited weapons, firearms, this sort of thing. Can a person defend themselves carrying an illegal weapon in Canada or carrying a firearm that, very few people have carry permits in Canada, the police do, for example. But the short answer is yes, with a qualification. So let's say you're a criminal and you're carrying a prohibited weapon, like you got brass knuckles. There's a whole regulations on criminal record, prohibited weapons. I won't get into it, but brass knuckles is one, switchblades, centrifugal force, knives, nunchucks. You see Bruce Lee type nunchucks. What if you're carrying those and someone happens to attack you and you act reasonably? They're carrying nunchucks, their knife. Yes, you could defend yourself and you wind up killing them, and you acted reasonably in the circumstances. You defend yourself in court, you win. But of course you're gonna get convicted of the other offenses. Much less serious, better than getting convicted of murder. But these scenarios do play out. I mean, gang members carry these type of things, obviously, and sometimes they win self-defense or defense of other cases. So that's the kind of the short answer about prohibited weapons. By the way, don't carry prohibited weapons. Don't carry firearms unless you're a police officer or a very narrow group of people who have license to carries in Canada. I won't get into the law on that. So, optically, though, it doesn't look good in the judge's eyes. If you have a prohibited weapon on you or other thing, you're up against it already. But you may be able to win that case. I mean, another gang member comes up to you, threatens to shoot you. You pull out your gun. He pulls out his gun. You wind up killing them. But don't forget, you're going to get charged with pointing a firearm. You're going to get charged with all sorts of offenses. The restricted firearm. You're still winding up in jail for years, but maybe not for 20 or 25 years, thankfully. So all kidding aside, a real gray and more nebulous area, which I kind of hesitate to get into, is what about legal weapons? Is someone in Canada entitled to carry a legal weapon for self-defense? Whoa, I would say not. You have to be very careful about your intent in carrying a weapon. So let's take a legal knife. Let's take a Swiss Army knife. So let's say in your day-to-day life, you open your beer cans, you open your cans, you use Swiss Army knife for everything. You keep it in your purse or you keep it in your pocket. Is that legal? Well, if you intend it for self-defense, it may not be. If you intend it for your everyday life, it may be. You have to be very careful with your intent here. Now, let's say you happen to you're on your way to work where you use your Swiss Army knife and some guy cuts you off, grabs you in your car and starts stabbing you, and you stab them back with your Swiss Army knife. What's going to happen? Well, hopefully you can win it in self-defense. Would you get charged with possession of a weapon for a person with dangerous public police? Probably not, if you could establish the intent that knife wasn't for self-defense, but it was for your day-to-day utilitarian work purposes. So let's face it, there are people, law-abiding citizens, who carry certain implements which are normally legal. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that, by the way. I don't want to get into much legal advice on that, but I've seen the situation where a worker who's carting a knife back and forth to work is legally in possession of that, and their intent was very clear, and they had to protect themselves with it, and they ultimately won all their charges, including carrying a concealed weapon. So it's really kind of boils down to your intent with carrying that sort of thing. But you really should familiarize yourself with what prohibited weapons are. There's all sorts of regulations. You can read about it. I don't recommend carrying anything. I mean, just, walk in safe streets, walk in daylight, and walk with people. But anyway, that's kind of a short primer on how prohibited weapons work in self-defense. And the bottom line is someone might win their case, but then get convicted of carrying that weapon or using that weapon or pointing a firearm and that sort of thing. Thank you for watching our video. We are absolutely committed to bringing you the best possible criminal and DUI educational videos. If you found this video helpful, please like it and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you've been charged with a criminal offense in Ontario and require our services, please click on the link in the description below.